I, F20, live in a shared house with 3 other girls. I will call them Sarah, Kate, and Zoe. Kate is friends with Zoe, the rest of us aren't really friends. Whilst I'm on okay terms with Sarah and Zoe, I've never really liked Kate. We have a shared fridge, where we have a shelf for each of our stuff. I have noticed that my food and milk constantly goes missing. I see multiple times a week that a large portion of my food and milk is gone. It's unbelievably frustrating, and also very time-consuming and expensive having to cook new food. I always believed it was Kate because 1. She is awake late in the night, 1 to 4 a.m. I am asleep then, and I tend to notice my stuff missing in the morning too. I have asked all of them about it. Sarah and Zoe both deny taking my stuff, but Kate gets all defensive and says I shouldn't accuse her when I have no proof. I was complaining about it to my friend, and he said he was in a similar situation and he got a fridge camera. I thought this was a great idea. I got one, placed it discreetly inside the fridge, and decided to wait a week. Sure enough, it was Kate, raiding my food daily. I confronted her about it, because now I had proof. I showed her the footage, told her to never do it again, and that she should repay me for what she took. She went apeshit. She said how dare I put a camera in the shared kitchen without asking the others first, and how it's so invasive to record others in their own home. I explained the camera only recorded the inside of the fridge, not the whole kitchen, but she didn't care. She has since said she'll never be able to feel safe in her own home again. Zoe has sided with her and they are both calling me an AH and saying I should have asked everyone first, even though this would have defeated the whole purpose. I said none of this would have happened if Kate hadn't been stealing my food and lying about it. Sarah has taken my side, so it's pretty tense in the house. ATM. AITA. NTA. Kate, how dare you procure evidence of my stealing to back off your charges? This is an outrage. Do not apologize. You should insist, to the other roommates that Kate should apologize and pay you back or move out. More than do not apologize, don't even engage. If they bring up the camera, ask why were you stealing from me? When will you be paying me back for stealing from me? If they say they don't feel safe, ask why were you stealing from me? When will you be paying me back for stealing from me? If her friend comes at you, ask her but why was she stealing from me? Don't even begin to address the camera. Don't respond to any complaints about it directly. Keep emphasizing, to everyone who lives there, that this is about theft and nothing else. Story 2. My, F36, children's, M12 and F9, father, M43, passed away after a long struggle with cancer 3 weeks ago. His death was expected and the kids knew their dad was very sick, but still, I couldn't get them ready to handle this kind of event. Their mental and physical health is my one top priority, and I want them to grieve their dad properly. My current husband, M37, saw no need for the kids to attend the funeral after I said they were going with me. He said they're still young, but I said they had every right to be there for the final goodbye. He suggested he go with us then and I wasn't sure, but I contacted my former in-laws and they said it was fine. My husband drove us to the funeral and kept making comments to the kids telling them how to behave, which was uncalled for. We got there and I brought the kids to stand near their grandparents, while my husband kept introducing himself to strangers, then went to stand next to the kids. I was standing from a distance but could hear the kids crying. I then started hearing my husband telling them to quiet down repeatedly. Not gonna lie, I felt bothered, wishing he'd stop. While the kids were crying he loudly said, "Stop crying, really there's no need for this, it's not like he can hear you," and the kids just started sobbing at this point. I was stunned. I looked and saw my in-laws staring at me. I felt horrible. I walked up to him and whispered I needed a minute with him. I made sure we were away and lost my temper asking what he was doing. He said he was just trying to comfort the kids and help them get a hold of their emotions. I told him what he said was horrible and everyone heard it. He tried to argue that he was just trying to help, but I said he had no right to tell the kids how to grieve their father and demanded that he leaves the funeral, but he threw a fit and said I was overreacting. I insisted, then he left later. After the funeral the kids started avoiding me. They wanted to stay with their aunt and I went home by myself and found my husband there waiting with an angry look on his face. He picked an argument saying I shouldn't have kicked him out of the funeral after he came to support me and the kids, but I told him what he said made the kids refuse to even come home with me. He said the kids are using him as an outlet for their anger after he's been generous with his time and effort, and this is how we repay him. By making him out to be the bad guy. I refused to keep going, but he kept pushing for an apology for this blatant disrespect I showed him. For more details, my husband never had a good relationship with my children's father. I was confused when he said he wanted to come to the funeral, but then I thought he did it for the kids. Wow. No. He was a monumentally selfish prick. Who tells children who've just lost their dad to stop crying? You called him out on how shitty his behavior was and his trying to turn around and blame you and the kids for being ungrateful. You are unequivocally NTA. Story 3. I am currently pregnant with a baby girl and super excited. My husband comes from a very attractive family. I'd say genetic lottery, and MIL seems to have very healthy self-esteem and passed it down to both Sills. They have always played this game, which drives me crazy. They will just go up to the other one and in a really sweet tone with a deadpan expression insult their appearance. Some examples include: keep eating that ice cream and we'll all know why when daddy bangs his secretary. Oh, is the cellulite? Mommy, oh my god, I just have to tell you, the Botox isn't working. That dress is hideous, I should have aborted you. There is a reason your sister has a boyfriend and you don't. They all claim this is just a game. I'd say all three are way above average looking and know it, so maybe it really is. When MIL isn't playing this game, and the Sills aren't playing dumb TikTok pranks, they are a very loving family. They are both really cuddly with their mom. They tell her everything, so maybe it really doesn't faze them, but I hate it. I have struggled with body image and I don't want this around my daughter. I've talked to my husband, but he doesn't see the issue. He says I'm being controlling, so I finally just took the plunge and told them this game is absolutely not allowed in front of my baby or any future kids. If I hear it, we leave. If we have to keep leaving, we don't come back. MIL said, oh my god, you are literally a crazy person, and that was it, but my husband thinks I was rude. NTA. Don't normalize insulting people's appearance in front of my child, seems like a pretty low bar to set. If you were trying to enforce this policy all the time, and not just in front of your child, that would be controlling. What you are doing is protecting your child the best way you know how from these toxic attitudes. NTA. How is this fun, exactly? And where does your husband get off on accusing you of being rude when rudeness is literally the entire point of their game? They may get entertainment out of being cruel to each other,